Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on viewing the latest feature releases for Sage Intacct. My name is Ali Pakalnis, and I will help facilitate our webinar today. Before we get started, here are a few tips on using the Zoom platform so you can engage with our presenters and have the best experience possible. You should see a Zoom toolbar with icons for Ask a Question and Raise Your Hand. Please use the Ask a Question feature to submit a question or comment. If you need any assistance, click on the Raise Your Hand button and I will connect with you to help. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation, and we will do our best to answer them all. If we didn't answer your question, we will follow up with you personally after the presentation. Within 72 hours of the webinar, you will receive a link to download the slide deck and recorded presentation. Today's webinar does qualify for CPE credits. To receive your credits, you must actively respond to 3 out of the 5 polling questions and stay on for the duration of the webinar. If you have any difficulty answering the polling questions, please email elevatelearn@armanino.com with questions. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our presenters today, Jen Bowman, Shannon Sanesteven, and Kern Aker.
Hello, Jen Bowman here. I'm a solution architect in our Sage Intacct group. Together with Shannon and Kern, we are going to present the highlights from this quarter's releases that took effect in everybody's instances a couple of weekends ago. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Sanesteven. I work with Jen and Kern. We are solution architects and here to help you learn about the new features in the latest release of Intacct. And using our experience as implementers and solution architects, we'll take you through the new features. Kern?
Hi, everyone. Kern Aker here. I'm a solution architect. Also, looking forward to presenting new features coming out for you today and look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Great. And while we're presenting, we are pleased to have Jeremy Anderson and Claire Holman from our delivery team. They're standing by to field any of the questions that you have in the chat. And again, as Ali had mentioned, if there is something that we don't have a chance to answer live, we will definitely follow up with you afterwards and make sure that we get your questions answered. Our learning objectives. So we are going to, as I mentioned, walk through and identify the new features that were included in the Sage Intacct R4 for 2025, and then also help you to understand how to navigate or implement or include those new features within your Sage Intacct environment, whether it be something that might be simple for you to query the Copilot help and find the specific directions on how to add the new features yourselves. Or if you wish, we are standing by to help you. You can also put in a support case, ask your client manager to have for us to facilitate another discussion with you separately on the side. We'd be happy to do that as well. And then understand how to add in the new features within your Sage Intacct environment. So hopefully will help you to continually optimize your own Sage Intacct environments. We have a packed agenda as usual for the hour. We're going to be covering a myriad of topics. I'd like to say GLAPR, so that your GL, AP, AR, as well as other advancements in consolidations and contracts and taxes, a little bit in construction and inventory, etc. So sit back and relax and enjoy. As you know, you will receive the full presentation after the conclusion of this webinar. So you have that to look back on. It also gives you some advice on how you're able to take advantage of these new features. In addition, you can always click on the home button at the top left of your Sage Intacct environment to navigate to the home section where the release notes are housed in full. So you can always look back upon that for reference as well. First up, we're going to talk about reporting and dashboard, an update in reporting. So This was a little bit vague. Sage talked about there are some future enhancements that they're going to be making to charts and graphs functionality within Sage Intacct environments. So to support the future enhancements, they've made some behind the scenes improvements. You might not notice, or you might notice a slight difference, nothing significant right now, but you will notice some minor formatting changes. And this graphic below indicates some of the additional colors and choices that you have for the formatting for charts and graphs. With regard to general ledger, you can now include unposted journal entries in your general ledger reports. Will really help you to see the impact of draft. If you also have approvals enabled in your journal entries, general ledger journal entries, then you'll be able to choose to take a look at draft, submitted, or partially approved, or all of the above journal entries in those general ledger reports. This does apply to the general ledger reporting and also the journals report as well. So this is a little screenshot, and I'm going to go ahead and go into a demo environment and show you what that looks like. All right, so let me escape here. I'm going to navigate into my environment of Intacct. So in this example, I have pulled a report, a posted activity. So as you can see, I selected a date range. I was just targeting the accounts payable as my target account group and my time frame. And then these are the two journal entries that I have entered into the environment. Now I'm going to toggle over. I have another tab opened, and to show you in the navigation screen where this would be located, this feature is included in the general ledger reporting as well as the journals reporting. Okay, so I have entered in here my date ranges that encompass those seeded unposted transactions that I entered into this environment. And then in the filters section here is where you're able to make your selections, choosing to view just posted, as in that other example on the other screen, just unposted, or a combination of the posted and the unposted. So when you select this, then you're going to want to select your available items. And so as I mentioned, in this particular environment, it is a multi-base currency and multi-entity environment, but I don't have, it's a demo, so I don't have the approvals turned on. So if I were to go back, in my selections, I just have draft as my selection. So then you enter done. And then if you want, all accounts, certain groups, etc. So I selected the groups that are the focus of the demonstration. And then in this environment, you can pick other dimension filters. But in this environment, since it's multiple base currency, as you can see, there's a red star indicating that location is required in this particular demo environment that I'm showing from. So I picked my target location. And then when I press view, you get a couple different, warnings or pop-ups or whatnot, just reminding you that you have selected unposted and posted transactions to appear in the report. And then once you have that view, then you can see a side-by-side comparison. So if I go back to the other screen, I just had $9,000, right? And that was of just all of the posted journal activity for accounts payable for that period in the USA 100 location. And then in this screen, now I've got my draft example. So here's draft, and it also adds, this report output adds this state column into the reporting. So now you can see you've got a mix of draft and posted. Now it looks like for now, This is posting in the date and time order that I posted these transactions. So that's how it is listing it within this report view. So maybe in future releases, they might provide other ways for you to filter or group, right? Group by posted and then maybe by draft, et cetera. So maybe they'll add some new features as time goes along. But for now, this is what that feature does and allows you to view that in the screen. And if you wanted to do a side-by-side comparison, you can just simply right-click and duplicate your screen. And then, as I did earlier, have this other, view. Maybe put it on a second screen if you wanted to look at a side-by-side comparison. All right. So back to our presentation. Go. Okay. So move on. Now we're going to talk about advanced ownership consolidation. There have been some significant improvements to this feature. The automating the equity consolidation method is now generally available. As you know, when Intacct produces new feature sets that are pretty robust, they like to roll those out in a measured approach using like an early adopter type of a method with just a subset of customers that then can provide feedback on the performance of the new feature set. So this one is now generally available if you have the advanced ownership consolidation module. So Intacct has, obviously the multi-entity roll-up is included for free within the functionality. But for companies that need auto eliminations of due to, do froms, then they advance and look at the additional consolidation modules. There's domestic, if you're just using US dollars. There is the global consolidations if you have multi-base currencies enabled. And then on top of all of that can be this equity consolidation with the advanced ownership consolidation, where there is partial ownership of different entities and also sub entities as well. So parents and children that might have a less than 100% ownership stake. So in this example, as you can see now, you can do more of a tiered consolidations. You've got, entity 401 and its ownership structure is, 40% to 200, 30% to 300, 30% to 400. And then in addition, there's another layer rolling up to the parent ultimate of E100, where it then has 100% ownership of 200 and 300, but just 40% ownership of 400. So now Intacct will be able to perform the proper calculations to produce the financial statements relative to these ownership stakes. So again, in this example, it shows more of a table view of this owner percentage within this ownership structure of these entities as it relates to the parent. And then this is another view of how Intacct is going to perform the mathematical computations and calculations to arrive at the equity entry values based upon the ownership stake in not just the sub entities, but also the grandchildren entities as well. And so Intacct now does a very good job of handling these more complex and robust ownership structures within, again, this advanced ownership consolidation module. All right, moving along to Policy Connect. Intacct has been in the past few years creating connectors, and many of them are fairly agnostic, meaning if you utilize a certain type of CRM or electronic medical records system, and now in this case, a insurance policy administration system, Intacct has a connector. And for the most part, you can bring along your own policy administration system, utilize Sage Intacct's Policy Connect feature or these connectors that they are creating. And then you can synchronize the policy administration system to the general ledger of your Sage Intacct environment and have those journal entries be synchronizing in and posting automatically. Typically with these, this is a nightly process. You also sometimes have some opportunity to, more closer to real time type of a synchronization and whatnot. And so the introduction of this Policy Connect now allows you to, bridge the gap between your policy admin systems and Intacct GL. With EMR Connect, the electronic medical records connector, again, it's fairly agnostic if you're using, Epic or Athena or whatnot within a healthcare practice, that you can bring your, connect your EMR to the Sage Intacct, again, at the general ledger, I guess, mapping position. With that in the general ledger, as well, you can also synchronize statistical information. So if we have statistical information, and that holds true for the policies as well, number of new policies this month, number of policy holders, etc., you can also synchronize that too with that general ledger synchronization connector. So for this EMR Connect, now you are able as the user to go into a user-based portal and create your own value transformation. So it allows the user to take what was initially set up and refine that over time by being able to log in and have more control over the information that you're seeing in these value transformations. So that's an additional feature set that's available with anyone who uses EMR Connect. All right, so this takes us to our first polling question. Okay, so true or false question. You can now report on draft journal entries within the financial report writer. Give everybody a minute to answer that question. And recall that if you do need CPE, you will need to answer at least 3 of them. Guess answers should be locked in at this point. Is that true? All right. So, yep, that is true. You are now able to report on draft journal entries within the general ledger and the journal's reporting feature. All right, moving on to purchasing. Broader visibility into match tolerance exceptions. I know I've talked to a couple clients about this. I'm hoping that you're on and you're watching this and listening to this, because this might be something that could be a game changer for you. So now you're able to really easily identify the quantity and or price differences between your transactions. So you can recognize where your PO and the ultimate accounts payable invoice or bill that comes in has a discrepancy between what you had approved on the PO and the final, bill that comes to bear. So below here are a couple of screenshots with a highlight in blue here of this exception summary, where you would just click, on this button, and then it will expand the table to then show you where the variances were occurring. So giving you some better control over your spending through the quantity variance exception functionality. This same functionality is now also available as an early adopter feature if you have extended your environment to engage in AP automation with purchasing. So this then will not be something that will automatically be available to you if you are engaged in or the AP automation with purchasing feature. If you're interested in starting to into us enabling this functionality within your environment as an AP automation with purchasing user, please do reach out to your customer account manager, send us a note, and let us know, and we will request to Sage to have you included in the early adopter program. As you know, with early adopter programs, typically it's a small set of clients that are included, and it gives you like a beta, I guess, testing for these new feature sets. And what's nice about that is then you are able to then give your feedback to Sage Intacct. So prior to them releasing it for general availability, then they will take your feedback into consideration and really perfect the solution set before they release it to the larger mass of customers. So smarter email capabilities for AP automation with purchasing. And this also actually holds true for AP automation if you're just using with AP as well. So this is great. This is a wonderful game changer. You might have gotten an email to, I guess, allow Sage to provide you with updated email addresses for your AP automation accounts. Each of your entities has a Sage Mail account today. And if you opt in to this, they will enhance and provide you with another, I guess, domain. And it's an AI.Sage Mail account domain for each of those entities and also the top level as well. When those are utilized, you'll be able to have auto forwarding so that you don't have to forward email to the automation, address manually. You will also be able to get have a carbon copy email sent for any bounce backs that might occur. So if you have a vendor that's having trouble sending a bill through the AP automation AI.SageMail account, or if maybe a department head has a bill and they're having an issue, then you will be able to select a user like a finance admin user to be able to receive that notification about that occurring. The big, I think, selling point is that now if there's an attachment that's baked into the email body, that can be extracted for processing. And then in addition, say you've got a department head and they receive a bill, they forward it to SageMail, and in the text of the email, they say code to, entity 1, project X, department Y, for example, right? Now, the OCR machine learning is going to be able to extract that body from the text and then apply that when they are suggesting coding in the draft bill that's then created. So very, very exciting things. Also, the iPhone images in an HEIC format will now be supported. So if you snap a photo and then, kind of email that in, that will be able to be transmitted and properly, converted into a draft bill as well. So exciting new updates. All right, accounts payable. We have more filtering options that are available now in the AP Ledger report. Now you can select multiple vendors individually or in ranges. You can also select vendors that are within an existing vendor group. So maybe if you haven't set up groups yet because you didn't, have this filtering capability, you can go to take a look to see how you might want to add those groups in. When you're filtering by a range of vendors, you can include a child vendor in the report as well. Lots of nice new updates there. Again, we're continuing on in accounts payable. You can add auto-generated payment IDs to AP advances. So now you are able to improve the traceability with regard to the payment ID. So allowing you to easily filter advances list using a payment ID. And so you can match up the payment more quickly during bank reconciliation. The payment ID also appears in some standard report columns, including the check register report and the AP ledger, as well as the AP aging report. And then in all three of the reports, if the check number and the reference number columns are empty, then the payment ID will appear there. And then also after you assign a document sequence, Intacct will create those payment IDs for new advances as when you post them. And then existing posted advances are unaffected. All right, so this leads us into the polling question number 2, multiple choice. And this one is a single selection. The additional options in the AP Ledger report include which of the following? A, multiple vendors, B, vendor group, C, include the child vendors, and then D, all of the above. So I'll give everybody a moment to lock in answers. All right, answers locked in. Okay. All right, and so the answer is all of the above. And most of you, 86%, did get that right. Great. Okay. All right, and now we're going to turn things over to Kern for some AI and automation.
All right. Thank you, Jen. So let's talk about AI. So there's a couple new features, as you may or may not know. Sage is rolling out and embedding AI across the entire platform. So one of the areas that this is happening is in the close automation area. So there's an area called close workspace that allows you to streamline workflows around the financial close process. It also helps you close, the subledgers with greater confidence and efficiency. And you can also have the Sage Copilot write email notifications to users. So you can keep everybody notified and on the same sheet of music. So that's great. Let's go to the next one, Jen. Copilot Search. So it's free, it's embedded. So if you go to help and support up in the upper right of your screen, you're going to see Copilot Search. So now let's go over there, Jen, if you would let me share
Sure.
for just a moment.
All righty.
I'm going to give you a quick look at this. Okay, so now I'm in Sage, and if I were to go up here to my help and support, you'll see search help with a little Sage Copilot logo there. So I'm going to click on that, and you can ask it anything in your own words. It's really nice. So for example, how do I create a graph? And you just hit enter. It's processing, and next it's going to give me a couple little notes. Here are the steps to create a graph in Sage Intacct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try one more because I typed the same help in the regular help center and didn't get anywhere near the same results. For example, maybe a new user joins your group. How can I best use Sage Intacct? Enter. So this gives a brand new user lots of ways to get into the system, get acclimated very easily using embedded tools within the application. To get the most out of Sage, here are some key ways you can best utilize the software. And it just guides you through several different ways of getting yourself the most efficient use of Sage possible. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and let's go back over to the PowerPoint, Jen.
All right. Thank you for that. Great.
Okay, couple things, big picture and company and administration. So let's take a look. Updates to Sandbox naming convention. So for those of you who use sandboxes, you may have a lot of different sandboxes. And to avoid getting confused or logging into the wrong one, they've changed the naming convention. So what you're going to see now is your company ID first, and then a dash, and then you can call it whatever you want. Sandbox 1, Sandbox 2, call it whatever you like in that after the hyphen. So hopefully that helps you stay a little more organized across different sandbox environments if that feature applies to you. And let's go to the next one, Jen. Okay. This update actually came out in the last release where they have the Sage Intacct import service. So not a huge thing here. They just keep enhancing this new import service. You find that under company administration. So take a look at that if you are an active user of that new feature. All right, Jen, let's keep going. Cache management. All right. So this is an early adopter feature that basically gives you a little dashboard all around cache requirements. So you'll see activity for cache inflows, cache outflows. So you can track cache management, cache availability, cache requirements more efficiently, all on one page. Now, this is early adopter. So for those of you who are able to take advantage of that, fantastic. Everybody else gets to wait a little while longer until that becomes generally available. But nice little dashboard there to summarize cash management, movement, all in a little built-in dashboard. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so easier matching. So what this means is when you are in cash management to do bank reconciliation, and if you use reconciliation rules, you have a new feature here. So you can combine debit and credit amounts on the book side to enable you to more efficiently match to the cash transactions that may come over as a lump sum from the bank. So when you're creating that rule, you're going to see a new option when you hit the drop down there that's going to allow you to combine those debit and credit amounts. Okay, let's go to fixed assets next. Okay, nice new feature here. So when you are creating from a bill, invoice line, this is going to be a fixed asset. Now you have the ability to, whatever you're buying on a bill, if it represents multiple assets, there's a new little radio button you can press to define multiple assets from that bill. So what you do, and maybe if you could just let me share and I'll show this one.
Great.
And let's go back into Sage here, close out our little Copilot help. So I'm in a bill, in AP. I've opened up the detailed page. There's my little radio button, create multiple fixed assets. And now I can distinguish how many different assets and built-in help there, the name of the acquired asset, and include tax and the asset cost. So there you have it. You can create multiple fixed assets from a bill with this new radio button. Awesome new feature. Okay, Jen, back to you.
Nice.
Sharing.
All righty. All right.
Okay, another nice feature. In fixed assets before now, you could only fully dispose an asset. Now you can, if that asset has different components and you want to dispose of just part of it, well, now you can. So partial disposal of assets is now available. And it's right up there in the same area where you can hit the dispose asset button in the new fixed asset management module. So you'll see that option to be able to partially dispose assets if that fits the bill for you. All right, let's go to the next one.
Perfect.
Poll question. Take it away, Jen.
All right. This is our third polling question, and it is a true or false. You may now partially dispose of fixed assets within the Sage Fixed Assets Management module. So we'll give everybody a moment to process and to place your answers in. Our answers locked in? Okay, excellent. So 92% got it correct. True is the answer. You may now partially dispose of fixed assets within the new SFAM module. Fabulous. All right.
All right, let's talk about projects and grants next. Let's go to that first feature there. Default purchasing tax schedule creation. So now if you're in projects, if you're using projects and you're buying something in a different location, various locations that have different tax rates, what you can do is have a default purchasing tax schedule automatically applied. And I believe this is at the project as well as the task level. Yeah, you can override that tax schedule at a task level. So where it comes from is the project location dimension. So whatever that dimension is, where that location is based, whatever that tax rate is for that location will be defaulted within your project. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is about Sage Intacct PSA. So basically, all of that you see here on your screen is about the integration with Salesforce. So now, once you've achieved, a certain status or a certain stage within Salesforce, that can automatically create a project for you from Salesforce directly into Sage. And that is just through that integration with Salesforce. It's now generally available. Okay, now we're going to talk about time and expense. And there's some nice new features here. Enhanced validation for your timesheet. So you used to have to hit submit to get your timesheet validated in case you missed a dimension or had some other missing information on your timesheet. Well, now it's going to validate prior to submission. So it works on your mobile device. So as you're entering in your time, if you are not putting in all the required information, it will validate that prior to submitting the timesheet so you can get those errors corrected through them before. Okay. Default values. So if you know you always work in a certain department or one other dimension values and you want those values to automatically appear on your timesheet so you don't have to do more data entry, this feature's for you. So now default values, as you log into your timesheet, it will automatically know which department or whatever default values you've selected. So it's just going to save you some time in getting your timesheets filled out. So little time saver there. Now let's go over to expenses. Big news here. So over in expenses, now Sage Intelligent Time now supports expense automation. So now you can use that mobile device, not just for timesheets, but for expenses too. So if you want to take pictures and store your receipts and add all of those into your expense report, you can now do both your time entry as well as your expense entry right there on your mobile app in Sage Intelligent Time. I know this was in early adopter last release, last quarter, and here we are in the current release and it's gone GA, generally available. So that's great. It made its way very quickly through that early adopter phase and now it's generally available. So hopefully this helps those who are on the road tracking time and or expense. And let's go to another question.
Sounds good. Takes us to polling question 4, multiple choice. Let's see. If you have the time and expenses module configured and you use the free Sage Intelligent Time and Expenses mobile, you can now perform these actions via smartphone. Entering a timesheet, approving a timesheet if you are an approver, entering an expense report, approving an expense report if you are an approver, or E, all of the above. So give everyone a moment to process and to answer the question. Are we locked in? All right. And at 90%, got it right. All of the above. Okay, so now we're going to move over to Shannon. I think she's got some slides and things to share, so I'll stop my share.
All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about inventory, accounts receivable, contracts, revenue recognition, and a little bit about construction for the rest of our time together. And I love to see all the questions and chat information coming through. I love that you guys are excited about what you're hearing today. So in that vein, inventory and supplies, some feature enhancements in the last release. We are able to now use a workbench. This has been a concept Intacct's been working on for many years, where you can kind of do all the maintenance you need to do from one screen. And so now you can add your bin, serial, and lot information all from the transfer screen, and you don't have to go in and out of the item to do it. So as you're receiving things or moving things around, you can move it from bin to bench or bin to shelf or wherever it's ultimately going to end up. So what that helps you do is ensure your inventory stays accurate by reducing discrepancies and streamlining your tracking workflows with the more detailed data entry points. So to all in the vein of helping to continue giving continuity and tracking that simplifies financial reconciliation. Also, picking and shipping sales orders from a mobile device is now available, which is really exciting because as you're picking and packing things, if you need to also ship non-inventory items or add items to a sales order that wasn't originally on it, you can now do that kind of on the fly on your mobile device. So that creates efficiency there. That's great. Accounts receivable. We have some new functionality around customer statements. We get to present greater visibility into what clients are asking for most when you're sending them statements. So you can now show all the transactions, show only open invoices or credits, or show only open invoices. And that will free up some of your time so that when customers used to get statements, they might not know exactly what is being asked of them. And now they have a little bit more information to be more self-service so that you can stay focused on managing your cash receipts a little more efficiently. All right. And we've been saying this, I think, for all 3 webinars we've done this year now. Authorize.net and PayPal for customer payment service integrations have been retired. Please use VersaPay. And if you have questions about that, reach out to your customer success manager or visit the Intacct Marketplace. All right, revenue management. We get to see cancellation dates on revenue schedules now more easily at a glance. And this helps with reporting. And in your deferred revenue schedule report, you can now see when things were canceled so that if you see a drop off in your deferred revenue forecast, you can see when and why that happened. I love this from a visibility perspective. Also, the cancellation date has dependencies. There are 3 different ways it can be defined. You can cancel all of the revenue if none of the revenue was ever posted. It will set the cancellation date equal to the start date. If in any other instance, the cancellation date is the day after any last open entry or what will soon be posted, schedule will be posted. So if you need to cancel on the last day of the month, you want to take that revenue for the month and then cancel the next day. The system will help you do that. And then if you need to cancel way in the future or some other off end of the month day, you can specify the date and then you can recognize revenue up to that date. Jen, our polling question number 5.
All right. True or false? Previously, revenue schedules did not display a cancellation date, making it difficult to track changes. Now, with the new release, you can view the cancellation date directly on the revenue schedule and in the deferred revenue details report. Is that true or false? Give everyone a moment to lock in their answers. Okay, answers locked. And the answer is true. Very good. So 91% of you got that one correct. Excellent.
Right. We're going to go through contracts. This is my favorite module, by the way. If you go through a merger or an acquisition and you're bringing in a new subscription-based revenue business, you now can consume the historical contracts in a much more efficient way. We now have an engine so that you can import the future value of the contracts and show what has been historically billed and historically recognized for revenue. And you don't have to go through the active contracts processing process the way you used to. So I'm very, very excited about this, and all of our clients out there who are growing their businesses and organizations and acquiring new entities and bringing new businesses online, they'll be able to bring in historical contracts a lot faster. So key benefits, of course, it accelerates onboarding, improves your financial accuracy, streamlines the data import through the CSV, and the CSV now has validations to ensure data integrity. And it really helps support your business growth by making it easy to migrate historical data from mergers and acquisitions into Intacct. So exciting. All right. And as we've all worked in the contracts module before, we know that sometimes when the contracts are large and they have many lines, the pagination takes a minute to show up on your screen. And so they have been working diligently to improve the experience of the user. And now they have different pagination options, so you can load data in smaller pieces on, and the redesigned journal balances tab makes it easier to browse and look at contract details more efficiently. So it's very exciting to be able to kind of page through that instead of having to wait for all of it to load. And so now you can kind of pick and choose what you want to look at, and it's more efficient. So that's exciting. And so here's a little example of what that looks like now. And you get to see the balances in your unbilled, billed, and paid, deferred revenue, sales, and AR, and unbilled AR tabs and accounts, all more of a glance. So this is very exciting. Also, again, they combine the tables, increase the efficiency in the pagination, and currency fields, and allows you to have more of a custom layout. And you can control that experience for yourself. That's really great. Contract renewal enhancements. This is fantastic also, because if you are not having your renewals pushed from Salesforce, you can set your original contract to renew and define some more criteria that you may have not been able to define as efficiently in the past. So automatic contract renewals can be on, and it allows you to have the renewal catch-up period be defined, because sometimes you're supposed to renew at the first of the month, but things happen and you don't get around to it till the 15th. You can put in criteria to help you with that. And it really helps simplify how renewals are handled so that you can have automatic contract renewals, automatic expirations, so that if they go past the renewal date, they're automatically set to not renew. And then you can also have new internal renewal notification emails and customer-facing renewal notifications, so that they receive a notification and they're renewed unless they decide to opt out based on your contract rules and policies as your organization is dictating those. So you can also see in the bulk action run list view the results and if there are any errors, and so you can kind of take care of those if needed. All right. And just here's some more that you'll receive when you receive the PowerPoint from this presentation. And manual syncs are no longer needed. So when you update a template, your changes are automatically applied to all the associated contracts. So the latest setting dictates the next renewal. So you have consistency there. Taxes. We are coming up on the mad dash to get your 1099 reports ready to audit your data, make sure your vendors are set up correctly, everybody has an EIN, and you have all that information in one place and ready to go. Sage Intacct recommends that you take advantage of our partnership with Tax Bandits through the marketplace, and they can take your 1099 report and create your IRS forms and email them out for you. So check with our customer success managers or our managed services team if you need help with how to do this, and they will get you on the right path. And you can also check out what Kern was talking about, the new Sage Intacct AI help. It can also guide you through how to get ready for your 1099 reporting season. And there are a few changes. The 1099 forms now support a 2-digit calendar year instead of 4 digits. And it will use the NEC, the 1099 NEC Box 3 for excess golden parachute payments. And where that used to be reported was in the 1099 miscellaneous Box 14. It allows you to have that updated and tagged for those payments. And if you read the release notes, you can see how that information can be migrated. All right. And then make sure you assign an entity contact for the address information to print if you are printing separate 1099s per entity. When we do implementations, we try to make sure that you have that set up, but do take a look at that. And if you need additional resources or directions on how to do this, and you want to consume that information in your own time, there are videos for that, and you can click on these links when you get the presentation. All right, our last section, and we have about 5 minutes left. I will go pretty quickly through here. Construction. The overarching concept with this is greater visibility in retainage release details on the AP and AR side. So you can see these fields and screens are being updated on the AP bill. And then on the AR side, the same things are happening. So you can now see more information about the retainage release details. So that's great. Also, excess billing on progress-based contract lines can be overridden now or set to no maximum, so they allow unrestricted billing. And you can revise the total price, a specific amount, or really truly show no maximum. So that's great. Also, you get to choose your adventure when it comes to choosing whether WIP schedules will include projects that have no job to date costs or billing. So if it's just kind of a blank project and it doesn't have any WIP information, you get to tell the system if you want to include that in your list view of your report or not. And you can also set your project cost to complete to 100%. And for each one of those, the job to date costs in the CFO forecast will show as 100% complete. You can also do the same thing when you set your billing, and you can see your project cost breakdown from the WIP history page. This is an early adopter, so look for that if you are part of our preview population, and you will see it in the general product in a few releases. Okay, payroll enhancements for Sage Intacct construction payroll. This is not Sage Intelligent Time, which is for people who are not using the construction database. But this is allowing you to add a pay modifier limits so that you can see greater visibility into each cost component daily, weekly, monthly, or annually. And this just really helps you be able to process payroll better and enhances the checks and time card pages. And there's a new sort where you're going to see your data is listed from largest to smallest, and the sections are expanded. So it's all about ease of use and greater visibility, so your experience as a user is improved. And the master records and check information within each of the payroll pages is retrieved faster. So that's great. It just improves overall functionality and experience. And now Jen will take us home in our last 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone.
Surely. So let's see, just have a couple little announcements. We are having a webinar on the 1099 experience. So first of all, please feel free to, peruse the academy if you have new employees, if you need a refresher course, etc. We encourage you to take advantage of that. And then finally, this piece here. our webinar that we have coming up. Here we go. A webinar that we have coming up on the 1099 experience. So the 1099 filing adventure. So that's coming up on December 18th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 Mountain, 12 Central, and 1 Eastern. So we have that to look forward to. And then I think I mentioned this in the last overview, but if you have any questions at all, you just want to jump on a call with one of us solution architects and your client account manager, please do feel free to reach out. We do offer conversations, with you that don't have a billing, a component to them. Happy to just kind of walk through things that might be on your mind as you optimize your Sage Intacct environments. If it's been a few years since you have implemented Intacct, you might be interested in a health check. It does include a full report review of areas that we recommend for optimization. There are some things that you'd be able to handle. There are some things that you could then hire us to engage with you on as well. So big projects, small projects, or no project at all, just, some gratis discussion. We are happy to engage with you further. And we appreciate your time today joining us for the webinar. Thank you.